that you can use. I thought I was using it inside VS Code.
Yeah, well, for Copilot, you just change that on your account settings. It used to be that they would just have you use Codex, but then after a while, they made it so you can switch models in your account settings on your Copilot.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So when you say, so Copilot, what part does Copilot play then? Is that the language model, or is that
no
like plug in to VS Code, or is it something else?
Basically, the Copilot part is everything except the language model. So it's all the code that's gonna let it like do a tool call. It's the code that lets it like wire up to a repo. Basically, everything that's not produce next token that's Copilot.
Okay. So if I'm using Copilot in VS Code, just the generic one from Microsoft, which language model am I using then?
I believe it defaults to the one that is set on your on whatever account has the Copilot membership. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Which if you go down to, let me see if it used to be on free tier. I'm trying to think where it is. Yeah, so if you go to your settings and then you go to Copilot and you go to features, then there are a couple of drop downs for like Anthropic Claude Sonnet 4 in Copilot, and you can enable that, or O4 Mini in Copilot, etc., etc. So you have to change that on your GitHub settings.
Gotcha. Okay, I'll have to go look at that.
Funnily enough, we are going to do a little detour over to Copilot today, as and I think they just released it today. I'm not sure exactly, but they have a new coding agent that you can just access through the web with Copilot, and so I just sicked it on setting something up earlier. So we'll look at that too and see.
Okay.
See how it goes. Yeah.
Do you, Warren, how do you want to do this? You want to, are we ready to start recording? You want to roll into your stuff, or?
Yeah, we can go ahead and do that. Just let me make sure I have.
I think Jerry is not here this week. I'll go ahead and record. Ted, I see you're online as well. Perhaps just because I'm in a different situation, if you could record also, I'll try uploading the video for Jerry. But if you can record as well, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay. The question is, how do I want to do this? So if let me take this out and then see what else I might need here.
Recording in progress.
Oh, that's annoying. Let's see. How about that? Okay, there we go. So let me.
So Warren, we have the recording going. You can we can edit out any part you want. So start when you feel.
Okay,
you're
sure.
ready.
Yeah, I'm making sure right now that I have all of the tabs up that I want to have up, basically.
Okay, that's good.
So I don't think I need that, but I do want. So I figured we'd kind of, I guess, just as a general game plan. I figure, or the stuff that I had, I had a couple of agents go over the, presentation materials that I did last week, and I said, hey, I need to do a demonstration. So why don't you come up with some coding exercises based on this presentation that we should do, that illustrate the points that we made.
It's going to be pretty easy to get pretty lazy with this thing, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. It really is. It really is. I'm sort of like, I don't know. I'm kind of intentionally leaning into that at this point.
Yeah.
Just because I want to. I want to see. I want to be able to. Basically, the thing I'm trying to avoid is saying, oh, the models aren't good enough to do this thing. When in fact the models are good enough to do that, but you have to pilot them correctly to get them to do it correctly. So
right.
Anytime
at this point, I mean, at some point, I would expect it to be better at kind of require less hand-holding, but
yeah, and basically kind of my rationale, just because I don't know, it's I don't know, I just sort of built the habit, so like for better or worse, that's what we're doing now. But secondarily, I think if you're, it makes it easier to keep track of what capabilities are like if what I'm trying to do is basically anytime I do anything, like can I offload this to a model, and if so, how? Kind of is a good way to be able to like sort of pseudo benchmark, or to like have like a good vibes feel of what works.
Yeah, kind of running a personalized current benchmark.
Yeah, that kind of thing, basically. Plus, I am kind of lazy, so that helps. Let's see. Okay, and then we have a chat. We got the recording going, and then let's do. Okay, which? Let's grab this, and we can grab Codex. Should be right there, and I think that's everything that we will need potentially. Maybe we'll go back and do other stuff too. Okay, let's see. Let's do where's the share button here? Record share, there we go. Oh, I can request sharing for this meeting.
Yep, you got it.
Cool. Okay. Let's do. I want to do my whole screen. Can I just do a whole screen here? Let's see. Was kinda. Is that the one that's gonna work? Okay, those kind of seem like the same thing, but let's see. Okay, what do we have? I am screen sharing. Can I see what I'm screen sharing?
Yep.
Okay.
I got a page. What are we coding next?
Got it. Okay, cool. Then we got okay, and then okay, that is the correct tab. Okay.
Yep.
So today we're gonna. Oh, real quick, I'm gonna move this over here, and can you see the terminal there too, or no?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
I wish I could just share a whole screen, but it does not appear that I can, which is kind of annoying. So I guess we're just gonna have to do.
It should. It should have. When I pop up share, I got screens listed, entire screens.
Yeah, I have like desktop 1, desktop 2, desktop 3, but those are all different. Although maybe it's this. Maybe if I do this, then that'll do it. And yeah, let me turn up my mic here.
Okay, that's probably. I see some background, so I think I see a desktop now.
Okay, and then let's.
And I got a terminal.
All right, cool. All right, and then let me turn up my mic real quick. Let's go to sound, and we will do input volume for that. Okay, although actually I probably need to change it in Zoom too. Is that any better for people?
A little louder, yeah.
Okay.
It was a little quiet for me, but that could be on my end, so.
Okay. And then I have to find Zoom, and then I have to be able to change the settings of Zoom. Audio options, I think. That is not helpful.
If you want like the screen sound to come out, when you do share screen, there's a little tab down below that you can click on.
No, I'm mostly looking for audio and making sure that my input, okay, yeah, all right, so, And then if I go here, and where'd the chat go? Can I have the chat back? There we go. Okay, cool. Mic is good now. Excellent, excellent. Okay. Okay, so today we are going to do a follow-up to last week's presentation, in which we kind of went over some of the general strategies and kind of the landscape of coding agents, specifically the more autonomous ones that like Claude Code, etc. And this week we were going to go and demonstrate some of those techniques. So we have, as you can see here, our repo with a couple of exercises in there. And yeah, so I guess the first thing I will say is that, yeah, I had Claude Code generate all of these, and I think I have Copilot coming in with a PR, if I'm not mistaken, or another one. Yep. So this is Copilot, which I just initiated from, let's see if I can pull it. I don't know if that'll be in the right spot, but Copilot also has agents available to do code generation. So what I did was I just gave it a prompt hey, can you take a look at Claude MD, which is, I have that with some instructions of these are the kinds of exercises that we want to set them up and how we want to do it. So I just told it to do 5 while I was having Claude work on 3, and then I was trying to get Quen to work on 4, but I was not able to get authentication figured out for that. But that's a fairly new thing, and I guess I'll show that really quick before we get too far into it. So you can see Claude over here on the left, and then over here on the right we have Quen. Which is, hey, do you work? I don't think it does. Yeah, it doesn't. But as you can see, we have Quen there, and then we'll just do a Claude here.
What are we looking at? Warren, is this just two separate terminals logged into?
Yeah, so these are, this is just it's my tmux effectively. I use Zellage, but, so it's just 2 panes, and each pane has a coding agent in it. The one on the right side is Quen, because their new model just came out, I believe, today or yesterday. And they have a Quen coder. It's about 500B, 32-ish active parameters. And they forked the Gemini CLI, which is an open source version of Claude Code effectively. Yeah, as you can see that they're fairly similar in terms of appearance, and there are several more. These just happen to be the 2 that I have installed right now. But a lot of the form factors for these guys, as we mentioned in the presentation, are terminal-based, but we also have more of them that you can start to access in the browser. We have Codex here as well, which is OpenAI's version. And then let's see, can you review claude.md at the root and set up exercise 04. And then let's see, let's have you just start yellowing it. Then the other thing that I'll pull up really quick is we have coding agents in the terminal. We have them in the browser. What's up?
Yeah, can I ask a quick question? So Claude.md, so you're logged into a browser window right now. And so how is it accessing CloudMD is in a Git repository?
Yep. So I have the demo repo up here on my GitHub, and I have Codex, and I have Codex installed to that repo as an application. So Codex is pulling CloudMD from this repo, and it's reading that, and then it's going to try and send me a PR. And I can kind of watch it work around here as it goes, which is kind of nice. I don't think that maybe Copilot agents can do that. I'm not sure. But it's kind of nice to be able to watch it here. He's kind of going off, so they will tend to run off, but I'm not too concerned about it at the moment. Yeah, please feel free to like jump in whenever. I'm very much kind of just winging it, and you know, if we get through an exercise or two, you know, that's perfectly fine with me. But you know, whatever is the most valuable to everybody.
For me, it's going to be. I'd actually kind of detailed hands-on is going to be interesting. And, you know, unless you have a more specific general agenda. Some of these I'm new to, so I'd love to see the details of how you launch stuff, etc. But why don't I see what Mike had? He had a question.
Yeah, can you do this with VS Code and how? So yeah, I was actually just opening this up. So we have my terminal over here, and we'll drag that off for just a second. We have Codex working just in the browser over here, and we'll pull that off. And then here we have an IDE, which is technically Cursor, not VS Code. The reason I picked Cursor for this specifically is Cursor actually, if you're not familiar with Cursor, it's just a fork of VS Code, but it's a very like AI-centric fork. So it has like a sophisticated kind of context-aware tab. You can like mess around with your models. It also has background agents. So I can, I think I flipped that on or something. And then I can give a task in the background here. So let's say review the, do I already have one? Okay, review the contents of this repo and create an agents MD that describes the repo accordingly. And we're going to put that on. This model can be very expensive, I bet. Let's give you 03, I think. So we're gonna fire that off in the background. Git not Oh, it's because I don't think I have Git going in this. Let's see. We can get init maybe. Yeah. And then see if that will work now. Oh, I need a remote too. Okay. repo create. Let's do this guy. Push an existing local right here. We're gonna do yes. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. Public. Add a remote. Origins fine, and then we're gonna do git add commit initial git. Okay, do I need to make sure I'm? Oh, I need to add dist to git ignore real quick. Add dist. Just I guess as part of a workflow thing here, what we'll do is we'll do Command K, set this git ignore up for me. And then we will just YOLO take that. Sure, sounds good. What's the GH command? Yes, that's just the GitHub CLI. So you can just install that with like brew install GH. And so you missed dist. That's fine. I think we need to go. We need to go dist like that, and then we need to do that, and then okay. So we're gonna do git add. Initial git push. Okay, are we still pushing dist? Why are we pushing dist now? Very strange. Okay, I don't want to get stuck on this, but we'll just push it and see what happens. Git push set upstream origin main. Maybe a good opportunity. Okay, so that's tracking. Let's see if this will fire. Background agent. Let's see if it will go again here. Will you do it now? Requires add a remote to your Git repository. Git status. I do have a remote. Maybe we need to restart. We'll just restart this real quick. And then...
Oh, it's restarting.
Yeah.
Can you, what's the difference? What do I get with Cursor versus VS Code?
I would, a couple things. So you can see over here on the right side. So this, this is a chat window, obviously. And I can put it in agent, I can put it in ask, I can have it do manual mode where I'm manually curating context, I can create custom modes, I can fire background agents. So I would say like this kind of pane is sort of the central feature of Cursor. The other, and let's see, let's just show.
The VS Code has something similar, right? It has the Copilot chat and Copilot plugin.
Yes. Let me just pull up. So we also have Winsert, which is another AI-centric fork. As you can see, we have like another little bar here on the right side. And this is kind of, I don't know if anybody's sort of heard the somewhat drama of like everybody's forking VS Code and putting AI in it, and that's you know, that's sort of what people are doing now, and getting tons of funding via YC. So VS Code doesn't have these panes on the side. So if I want to add this kind of functionality to VS Code, I certainly can. It will take me a few different plugins in concert to do that.
Okay.
The one that I can think of, and yeah, that was actually the other thing I wanted to mention. So we have terminal, we have browser, we have IDE with direct integration, and then we also have extensions, which I believe, yeah, unfortunately I don't have any credits for AMP right now, but this is another sort of agent-centric kind of code generation utility, which you can see we have like pluses, we have new threads. I wish I had credits. I was asking them for credits before I was getting set up here. But if I were to give this like a, hey, can you review this and make agents.md, and we will go like that, and yeah, so I could go new thread, and then that would keep working, and then I could give this a new directive, and that's kind of the sort of basic primitive of sort of.
Can I do that with like with VS Code? Could I open multiple terminals, run Claude in each one, and do something like that?
Yeah, that would totally be a way to do that.
Okay.
And that is whenever you're going for, yeah, Terry, that's basically the logic behind it. Basically, the idea being there are any number of ways to deploy like multiple agents to your repo. The way that works for me, and I wouldn't necessarily even say that this is like a good or correct way to do it, but I like the terminal a lot. So I find that spending most of my time in the terminal and then using something like tmux to open multiple panes of Claude code if needed, and then we will get into a couple, I think, terminal utilities that are sort of intentionally intended to be complementary to that.
Okay, good.
What one might imagine is if I have multiple coding agents all running around in my repo at the same time, we're going to get some merge conflicts. Somebody's going to try to pick up the same file, somebody's going to edit that. So when you're running with multiple agents, you need some way to address that, and kind of everybody's baseline or anything that is intended to be used with multiple agents generally has some way to address that. There's a number of different ways. For instance, let's see if my cursor actually will work now. Review this repo and add agents.md. Cannot access. Either I don't have the cursor. Let's see. Do I need to do that? Install that to me. Install. And I think I have to do plugin omni-chain tokens. Yeah. Okay. Install and authorize. Oh, why is that? Oh no, that's not gonna. I have to use my password for that. What's that? Okay. Connecting to GitHub, checking installations. Okay, and then we can open that back to Cursor. And then hopefully we will be able to get it started from here. Basically what I'm trying to do with this, oh my god, the way that Cursor approaches multiple agents, and like I said, kind of every utility is going to have a different approach to this. But I believe Cursor relies primarily on Docker. So anytime I spin up a background agent, review this repo and create agents.md. Not supported for public. What the frick? For which you this is my repo. Okay. All right. I don't want to mess with that anymore. Cursor is one that I know a lot of people like. It's not my favorite personally because, as we kind of mentioned during the presentation, the big thing with agentic sort of code generation methodologies is context is king, and Cursor does not do a good job of showing me exactly what is in every agent's context window at any given time. And it is they've gotten better about it over time, but I've been burned by it so many times that I don't particularly. Very interesting question, Kevin. So as we can see, so right now I have. Or like, let's pretend that worked. This is a separate thing. This is a plugin to do like Web3 omni-chain agent stuff. This is a set of demos for Claude Code. I can fire agents to work on both of those at the same time, and I don't have to watch either of them. I just need to watch the PRs coming in. So how fast can you iterate projects is as fast as you can reasonably handle a bunch of PRs coming in that may or may not be at some level of quality. This sort of goes in line. So as we can see, we have the pull request that came up with Copilot. So that just sort of like came in, and then we have this, which is this guy's ready to go. Yeah, create a PR. Why not? So based on however many agents, and we can use multiple agent interfaces. I could, if I was feeling really ambitious, I could just like non-stop spin up agents in the correct order, as long as I kind of have an idea of what of how my code base needs to look. As many as I want, effectively. But you start running into problems, namely that it is sometimes they'll start doing weird stuff. It's hard to keep track of them. They often, if you don't have some way to clearly separate parts of your project from each other, they'll end up sort of like running into each other and messing one another up. So there are kind of where we're at, as we mentioned, like during the presentation before, let's see, the thing, yeah, so the I can spin up as many as I want, and in theory, if I have good enough like automated testing and checking and like the kinds of scaffolds, I can throw as many agents as I want at it. The interesting part, so as we just saw, we just had Cursor, and then we just had Winsert, right? which are both VS Code forks. And Amazon just released one yesterday, or the other day, called Kiro, which is technically also a VS Code fork, but you'll notice that that this window, or like the place that it drops me, is very like spec centric. Let's go to as we kind of mentioned a little bit. So let's see. Can you?
Hey, Warren.
Yeah.
I wonder if we could actually back up a little bit.
Okay.
Your workflow that you've adopted seems to be very spec oriented, and then you'll come up with a spec, then you'll throw the agent at it, and it sounds like you're looking for the PRs to come back from that agent. Can you dive into a little more detail on like what does the spec look like that you are going to write? How did you get there? That type of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. There is. And
that repository, is that a public, your CC demos or whatever, is that a public one? Or?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Let me think. So the CC demos, let me see if I can actually just pull up. Do I have a Kiro right
here? Is it CC demos? I didn't get the full URL on that.
Yes.
Maybe you can paste that in the
demos,
chat.
Yeah. Let's CC-demos is in the chat there. So let's see. Kiro is very spec centric, and what as I mentioned before, kind of what I did was I took the presentation, and my the general idea that I had in my head was, okay, I wanted to make some exercises. I kind of have a general idea of what kinds of topics we went over. Then what I did was I took all of that information over to O3 Pro, and then let's see if I can pull that up wherever it is. Basically, the idea of the spec, and then I think we can do ghuntley.com/spec. I think that'll do it. Specs, maybe? There you go. Essentially, what the methodology is that works for me, and again, there's not like a perfect way to do this necessarily, but what I've found works for me is, if I can go to my ChatGPT, maybe? ChatGPT? And then this, and then this. Okay, so this was, this isn't exactly the methodology that I would necessarily think is optimal for specs. The thing with the spec, and kind of why I think something like Kiro can be quite useful, is we can do enter your idea to generate requirement design. Let's view claude.md, a series of exercises about demonstrate code generation agent capabilities. So Kiro is going to go ahead and generate our spec. And so he's aware, looks like we have context aware, and then we're starting off with a requirements.md, and he is putting that in his Kiro folder, which is specs, and then coding agent exercises. And I'm presuming what I could do is do another spec and say a coding agent exercise that orients around Git work trees and resolving and preventing merge conflicts. And so now we have 2 specs that are happening. So I haven't used Kiro before, but I think there are several different kind of ways to go about doing this, and the way that makes the most sense to me is like I know I have a general idea of what I want, which is like I want to come up with some exercises. So let's just hand everything that I did to Smart Model, and then so Kiro. That's the other thing when using agents like these. Provided that you can get them on enough rails where you can trust them to some degree, then from there, the sort of unsolved problem, at least for me, is alerting thresholds and how to get those notifications. Like ideally, I want to be able to monitor some level of like code complexity or compliance with my testing suite or something like that, some metric to measure. And then once it crosses threshold A, I'm going to put like multiple powerful models on it and have them like argue about it and see if they can fix it. And then if that doesn't bring it back under threshold, or if it stays at existing threshold and moves up to threshold 2, I'm going to have it text me, and then I'm going to have to, go dig into it myself. But the idea being like, as much as I can, or as often to whatever extent I could possibly do it, I would rather just be looking at these PRs that are coming in. And then, let's see, do we have like a view PR here? Awesome. Part of the reason why I like these PRs coming in and why my workflow orients largely around PRs is because I have a couple of other agents that will do another pass on any code that's coming into the repo. So the idea is I want to give, for any code that's coming in, I want like 4 models to look at it before I do, essentially. And so...
How do you... Warren, sorry if this is a basic question, but
you're good.
You're talking about this workflow. Where is it that you're defining this workflow?
Primarily in my head, basically.
But how do you get the agents then to follow your wishes here?
So for the, let's see, decent question. I will generally, so as you can see, or like, so this sort of like, secondary reviewer is just me installing a GitHub application into my account, and I know how that behaves, so I just configure the settings for that, and then it always behaves the way I want it to. If I'm working with Codex, I know I need to create agents.md so that Codex can have any rules or memories that it needs, and then I guess I should probably show where, I think probably the most configuration, like for Kiro, I know how Kiro behaves. What it does is it creates specs, so I will just like use its functionality to create specs, and I kind of know what I want to do with those specs, basically. So
you had a conversation with one of the language models and created a spec. And then you threw an agent in a background task. You threw an agent at it, and somehow that agent, there was enough information in that spec, and the agent's going to generate whatever code it needs to. And somewhere it was told to do a PR.
Let's see. Let me go back to my looking. Is it this? I always end up losing my workflow. PRs. So what I could do, there would be a couple of ways to approach that. Let me just go to my let's go to my Claude folder. This is my global Claude folder, and I have like several kind of. This is a This is not the default configuration. It doesn't usually look like this. I'm using like a sort of preset configuration, and then I'm kind of like tweaking it down to work how I like. It still definitely needs a lot of tweaks, but I have like, if I have like cat modes.md, then I'm going to have, you know, all of these kind of extra sort of things, and then I think where it says, and then this has baseline claude.md in it, cat claude.md. And so what that will do is, so that the way that they have that structured is they have just used the main claude.md as an entry point, and then they have a bunch of sub instructions on those, and then those will get sort of injected into context based on how this entry point setup works, and I don't actually know exactly how it does work. Yeah, you'll find it on YouTube afterwards. But the...
So what agents.md, what are you using that for then?
Agents.md is the OpenAI version of Claude.md, essentially.
Oh, okay, okay.
Everybody
Gotcha.
kind of calls it something a little bit different. The other thing, specifically for the PR-based workflow, let me show you this thing. So this is, I think I'm probably the only person that does this. But the question is like, okay, like how do they get the Git stuff working? So the thing that I will say is for terminal agents specifically, they can run all of the terminal commands that I tell them they can run. So if they can run git commit, they can run git stash. They'll try to do things that seem natural for them to do. And then let me see if I actually have the let me see if I have the Claude. I want like a history. Oh, I have history. That is one of the things that I keep very close track of. So I'm also running another application that is my Claude Code Analytics dashboard. And so I want to go back in here and I want to review everything that that Claude has been doing. And then we have the tool names. I just actually installed this today, so I'm not exactly sure how to get all of it. We have messages. Great. What I'm looking for is the, so to-dos. I would say, or like one of the ways that works for me to keep track of agents, and I might argue that you should not use a coding agent if it does not use to-dos. Because it will help you like catch something if it is immediately going to do something dumb. And then if you just kind of let it work without going through a to-dos list, it'll just start doing random stuff. So thankfully, like,
Could you make that a checkpoint then? That the first thing it does is generate a to-do, and you're going to review the to-do.
Yeah. So let me. So Claude specifically.
Can you do that through a PR? Do you?
Sorry, what's that?
Do you review the to-do through a PR?
No, actually. So let me go back to let's go CC demos, and then let's do Claude, and then let's do plan. Oh wait, that's the wrong. That's not the Claude. I want /plan. Oh, did I overwrite that command? I might have. Let's see if there is a adder agents LMNOP. There's supposed to be a plan mode now, but hey, can you list your current?
There's a plan mode. If you do Shift Tab, I've gotten into. It'll get into a plan mode. Is that similar to what you're talking about?
Probably. It might be because I have my like fancy config thing. So while you're working with Claude, you can like it will it'll be using this to-dos tool. I used to use an MCP server for this called Taskmaster, but the internal to-dos tool has gotten good enough where I don't feel like I need it very much anymore. But I'm gonna cancel this guy. But just while you're talking, if you sort of mention the word to-dos, he'll usually call his tool, and you can. Let me see if I have like a full. Check the final line count. I need to add blah 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 blah. Use to-do write. To-dos have been modified successfully. Ensure that you continue to use. So like the tool will just periodically tell him this. It's like, hey, you have a to-do list. Work through your to-do list whenever he calls the tool to update it. And then if I see that like there haven't been any like to-do calls lately, then I know like something's getting weird. But generally speaking, I have my Claude, my global configuration set up to sort of like hammer home the idea of like, if it's not on your to-do list, don't do it. And if you need to do it, you need to put it on your to-do list.
So how do you show, how can I see the to-do list there? Or how can I put something on the to-do list?
You would just ask Claude to do that. Well, let me see if I have a CD to-do. I don't know if you'll have this, but I have a bunch of JSON files here. And all of these, let's just like cat one of them. All of these are instances of cat that. Okay, that one doesn't have anything on it. Cat this guy. Okay. In theory, there should be some of these that have actual to-dos on them, so they'll get logged here. Yeah, I don't know why they're all empty. They will get logged to some degree, but I don't manually edit to-dos. Claude has his own tool to use to-dos, and if Claude can do something, I don't want a human to touch it. I would, because it's going to confuse him. Yeah. It's going to get messed up. So generally speaking, like I'll either put him in plan mode or I'll just say like plan first, implement after, and generally that'll work out pretty fine. And then if I will tend to like use stuff like this to kind of keep track of how those to-dos are working.
Is that's a local tool that's monitoring Claude logs or something?
Yeah, there is a. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick here. This should work. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is Sniffly, which is just a UVX Sniffly init, and that is just sort of an open source tool that like gives me a bunch of analytics. There are several. I guess this might be a good time to detour over into extra helpful utilities. So as I mentioned, I'm very PR centric. I have my extra reviews coming in on the PRs, and then when I'm actually before I get to the PRs, I was just showing earlier Git Butler. So normally, I believe that let's just update that. Okay. Integrate, chosen resolution, okay, whatever, okay. So this is Git Butler. I have hooks set up in Claude Code. Can we simply put the to-dos in the MD file? You can if you want. For me, to-dos are like working memory. So since Claude has that tool and I can't like take that tool away from him, I want him to use that tool because it's gonna give him like extra feedback, like we saw earlier, where it will like sort of give him that little reminder here. And if I just am working with a markdown file, like this tool that the Claude Code team has designed to help Claude do to-dos effectively, he won't get any of that extra stuff. He'll just like be working off the markdown file. So you can do that. I would suspect that it'll probably be less effective. That being said, you can use, or as, let's see, this one went into Unix pipeline. So you will notice that let's go to, you will notice that we have, what we're doing here is we have this in the exercise folder, which is separate from this. We have claude.md here, and then we have the other, we have in 04, and I think we should have one in 03 too. We have one right here as well. So I think there's certainly a case to be made for using the file system as an instruction set. So when Claude is just in the main directory, he's only going to get this. When he is working in 3, he is going to get that the one in the root, and he's going to get this. And this, so the one in the root describes how it's like our spec for our exercises. As you can see, it's like, let me see if I've got set up task, blah, blah, blah. Let me see if there's a standard. Yeah, so it's like, here are some templates. Here's some specific, like, this is the format in which I want you to create these things. So this is kind of like our spec, basically. We have our little file system outline here. And then once you're in there, you're going to get claude.md, and this is going to, rather than give you templates, it's going to assume, hey, you already know what the template is for this specific exercise. This is how I want you to make that template work. Let's go back over to Git Butler here. So as I mentioned, Claude can do Git commands. You can either give him a MCP server, or you can just allow those terminal commands to be run by Claude. Personally, I disable all of those. I don't let Claude touch my Git because I run my whole Git through Git Butler. Okay, so the reason I might do that is, let's see if we have, this is just an empty branch. Can we just delete it?
Can you summarize what Git Butler does?
Yeah, so it is it's a utility for creating virtual branches. Essentially, this is me dodging the need to use stuff like work trees or do like merge conflict resolution. So anytime that there is a file getting edited in that project, so we have CC demos up here, it'll capture the state of that file and it'll stick it in this unassigned section. And then any time that I want, let's say I want, so we have 040404 scripts, and we're gonna do, let's just grab these guys, grab those, and then we can add this to, let's say, this branch. And then now, so this was my old commit that I had on it. I had a bunch of like JS files and stuff. And I'm going to say in this lane, I'm going to start this commit with that. Let's generate that real quick.
So what am I looking at here that you're calling these lanes? So this is like, are these separate development environments kind of for?
Yeah, gosh, this is, it's sort of, so Git Butler is, it's like kind of a way, it's a different way of working with Git that sort of orients around this like GUI. And you'll notice like we have T branch 1, we have T branch. So all of these are virtual branches. The only actual branch that I work with in my editor or whatever is, let's see if we have it on 4. Do we have it in, let's go back to CC demos. I'm on Git Butler Workspace. That's the only branch I'm ever on. And
Okay.
and I stay on that, and then every file change that happens goes into this pile, and then in that pile I can just drag different files into different lanes so that I don't have to basically, like, I don't have to make sure that I'm like git committing in order or like squashing properly or whatever. Like, I can.
So those things on the left are kind of like commits, are they?
Yeah, they're like virtual commits effectively.
Okay.
The term that they use is virtual branching. Let me see if I have like a good let's see.
And so you kind of have multiple these lanes that you're working on, each one with different commits applied to them. Is that what that is?
Virtual branching works. Yeah, so like basically what these will do is basically like we have T branch 1.1, we have T branch 1, we have T branch 3. So like these lanes are basically just branches. It's just that I don't have to actually commit to this being a whole branch yet. I can just like drag it back, or I'll be like, no, I actually don't want to do this. Cancel, cancel, cancel. Put it all back, and let's.
And then are you running agents in these lanes, or is this just for your kind of management?
This is how I manage my agents. So I will. So the agents will be working in a. Let me see if I can actually. Let's see. What are we on? We're on CC demos. Let's do Claude right here, and let's say, can you review Claude.md and work on exercise 06. Let's see. Somebody might have already done 06. I might have a PR sitting for it. So he's going to read that. Let me check the list. Perf opt. And then once he starts writing, you'll see all of the files that start changing over here. Every file he touches that he actually edits will just pop up in my unassigned section here. So it'll just it'll kind of keep local sane, basically, and then after I'm like at a good pause point, and you can see update to-dos here, so I can kind of watch like, okay, he's going to make that directory with the structure, create the package JSON, and we're just going to like shift tab you, and so as you can see, he just created package JSON. It just popped over unassigned, and we can just assign that to this lane, or we could assign it to a different one. Actually, let's like make a new. Let's do a new new lane here, so that we can kind of. Okay, so those are starting to pop up here, and then we'll just like commit this to a new branch here, and then. This is going to create a new branch, and then you'll see that this one says 1.1, and that's because we already have a 1, and we made it so that this is that 1.1 depends on 1. 1 is already merged and all that good stuff. So 1.1 is in that same lane, so we close that out here. And as such, like, they're somewhat isolated. Like 1.1 needs to be, or 1 needs to be like merged and up to date before 1.1 comes in. But like 7, like I could create another dependent branch. Is this the create an empty commit? Let me see if I've got like add a dependent branch. Tests dependent. And so like you can see a little through line here. Yeah.
These are all referenced to one repo though, is that right? And that's the one repo that Claude's running in?
Correct, yeah. Okay. I have like a bunch more, and so like I could throw him at several different repos at once, and they will all sort of like pile up here in the unassigned section, and then I can sort of like at my leisure drag them into branches that make sense and add commit messages that sort of indicate what's going on. Then when I'm ready, the other kind of reason why I like doing this is that it makes me, I can never force push. I always have to PR everything. Every code change that goes into even my own repos, just little open source things, they have to be PRs because it makes me do that if I want to actually change that. So that means my review agents always kick off, which is kind of nice. And then like between having my eyeballs on it and having the review agent's eyeballs on it, and then also, and then like, you know, having Claude's initial making of it that he made, that's generally enough passes for me to catch if something is going like wildly off the rails.
So when you would use this dashboard, then if you had a couple other repositories, you had an agent in each repository, or work tree, I guess, I don't know, you were monitoring those, you'd see the changes that each of the agents is doing, and you'd be pulling them in, assembling them to create the PR?
Basically, yeah. And I can flip around between, let's see if that'll, yeah, so I have a bunch of like, these have been edited locally, but I haven't assigned them to a lane and created a PR for it, etc., etc. So I can just flip around and like whatever's getting worked on locally, I'll be able to kind of know what's going on, basically. That one won't work because it's the thing. Let's see, CC demos. There are a number of other ways to, can I do like, can I change something? I don't know. This is like being kind of janky. Let's do Git Butler again.
At some point, can we pull it back, just for me, my simple brain here, can we pull it back to when you asked the agent to go do, you went through the workflow of I'm going to create like a spec. Mm-hmm. We didn't really look at what is the spec.
Sure.
Can we dive through what that is, and then you asked one of the agents to just go implement number 6, exercise 6. I think I got that, mm-hmm. And then it does the updates, and then you're using Git Butler to pull them into a PR. Then the PR gets pushed, and you have an agent on GitHub that'll automatically review the PR for you before you have to review it.
Yep. Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
Let's see.
The concrete part of what does this original spec look like?
Yeah, let me see if I can find I have too many frickin' tabs open. Always kind of a pain to find that. Let's see, what about this? Okay. And then, let's see, where did I put it? Let's go back to ChatGPT here. So, ChatGPT. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, generally speaking, usually I would recommend having like a longer conversation about this. Let me find, I actually have another article that sort of outlines this sort of spec-based workflow. Let me think if I can remember what it is. Sawyer Hood spec-based workflow blog, maybe? So this current workflow. Let's see. I can't quite find that, but this sort of outlines the basic idea of. Let's see if we can teach what is a. Okay. So let's see. Using a Git work tree is a ingredient. What is a specification? Okay. So we have, this is kind of the core thing. So we have like architecture, CLI interface, commands, logging, telemetry. So these are kind of like the ways that you would split up your code base, basically. The kind of place that you generally start from, or like, so back when I was using Taskmaster, in order to get Taskmaster to work at all, you had to create a PRD. So you could ask Claude to make that for you, but generally speaking, it will, the idea is you define like your PRD or your specs, basically like you have kind of a conversation with a model that can help you sort of formalize your ideas. I wonder if I've got like any, yeah, we got another one here. So, as you can see, we did kind of a similar thing where we chatted, we made a couple of docs, we have like a starter PRD. Let's see if I generated this somewhere. Okay, I'm not found anymore. Yeah, I think I had like 3 or 4 different models give me a PRD for a thing that I was, let's see, do I have the original convo for that? Let me see. Yes, I think this is a good one. So as you can see, I have like 3 conversations or so before I get all the way to my, my like critique here. So I was like exploring the idea. I was like, hey, I am a blockchain person. I'm reasonably confident that I can get this token working omni-chain. Why don't you do a deep research run? And then your deep research run will tell me all this stuff about that like technology stack that I was thinking about sort of in my head. And then I'm going to take that, so like I will read this whole thing. It mostly confirms the stuff that I want. We have a couple of examples there. Then I will take that. I will drop that. I think that report is, let's see. I think I took that report and then I dropped that into a couple other models and had them all make PRDs. I remember I have a PRD from Grok, then I have a PRD I think from Opus, and then I have another PRD from O3 Pro. And then we have the like ensemble approach, like here's the role you want to adopt, provide the thorough critique. I use this kind of model a lot, provide a critique of each document with the goal of determining which one is the best. Then usually it will be after you pick the best one and you have critiqued it, improve it based on the critique, and then deliver that as the final product. ChatGPT agent versus deep research result. I have not played with. I actually just got agent today, so I haven't put it through the paces. But apparently, I don't have any more O3 Pro until the 1st. It's kind of annoying. Yeah. So I started kind of from the PRD, and then sort of the insight that I think Jeff makes here that's a good one is. So, like, you have, like, your file structure, right? In that you can, you might have front end, you might have back end, you might have, like, UI, CLI, etc. You could make a spec for each one of those and then have Claude kind of referring back to those specs to generate to-dos and sort of work through it that way. That's one of the things that I want to change in my config is I have a specific way that I like for these guys to work, which is like as functional, as close to functional programming as you can get it, as like TDD and DDD kind of oriented. Like I want you writing failing tests and then turning them green because I want you on Rails, and then I want you to after you have turned a test suite green, I want you to go back to the spec and make sure it matches. And then figure out if you either need to update the spec or if like you need to refactor kind of the thing you just implemented, essentially. Although I probably won't phrase it that way, I will probably just say like indicate whether the spec needs updating and leave a note, and then I'll probably review it later. Let's see. So we have so Jeff has this is kind of his workflow. There's another article, as I mentioned, that outlines this workflow, but basically it's sort of spec centric and definition centric, and then the sort of hygiene is like a Git butler makes sense to me in terms of how to keep track of a bunch of files changing all the time. So that's what I use, and I have hooks set up to my Claude code to always Git butler everything, and I don't let Claude touch the Git tools. I just tell him like, and he'll even try to commit sometimes, and I tell him like, no, you cannot, or I think I have it disabled actually. And then
I'm not sure if this is the right point to inject it, but if we can look at your Claude MD at some point, and how much you got embedded in there. It seems like.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't have it set up very well right now. Like, I don't have that TDD type workflow in it at the moment.
Okay.
Because I am basically I pulled like a fairly sophisticated config off of the internet. It was just like a GitHub repo that was like, oh, super Claude, here's a bunch of MCP and orchestrator and personas, blah, 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 blah. So I need to go back through it and kind of tweak it to the way that I like. But it has the claude.md entry point, which we can go px.
Interesting. So out there in the web, there's different claude.mds that people have created and components of that then, huh?
Yeah, there is like I showed earlier, we have Sniffly, right? We also have like 30 other things we could use. Here is one. Frick. Must be one for, okay, so let's go back to CC demos and we'll go CS. And here we have a utility that can do new Claude code enter submit name, and then we have a Claude code, and we can go that one or that one. So this just this is just a utility that uses tmux and work trees to handle all those for you, and then gives you like a terminal interface to do multiple agent management.
Okay.
Let's see. Can I go Q? Okay. Boop, 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 boop. Can I do Control D? Okay. Let's. Right. It's because I'm locked here. Let's go Q. Okay. I'm gonna go Tab New. Okay. Let's go to CC demos. Let's do npx vibe Kanban. This is a similar thing to the thing I just showed, which was like a an interface for managing multiple agents. This is like a place to keep track of logs, etc., etc. I think another one, maybe Pain, we're going to go Uzi. That's another one which also uses tmux and work trees, where I can just like broadcast to everybody. Let's do Uzi. Uzi ls. Okay, we have no active sessions on that. And then for this, we have vibe Kanban. So this would be, let's see, I think I need to do that. And then will that do that? Authorize. Cool. Waiting, maybe. Okay. No thanks. So for this, I can like add tasks, kind of like a Jira board, basically. And then that will create a separate work tree. It'll deploy some agents to start working on that, and then I can divvy up the work kind of in that way. So this is kind of like the area of exploration, i.e. like, okay, if we have agents and we have subagents, like how do we manage all this, basically, is kind of the open question. In fact, something that just got added to Claude Code today is /agents. So you can now create from within Claude Code. Normally you could just tell him to deploy subagents to do X or Y, and he was able to do that as of 2 or 3 weeks ago. So the question of like, okay, what benefit is it to run multiple Claude codes if each Claude code can have its own subagents, kind of thing, is a rabbit hole to fall down. But
each agent has its own context, I assume.
yes, that's originally kind of the draw of the subagents. Is essentially it's just same tools, new context window. But for these guys, you can add, as it says here, own context window, custom system prompt, and specific tools, which is kind of nice. In that, like, I have like a couple of MCPs that I don't want. Like if Sonnet is writing code, I don't want him to use his think tool. I want my planning agent that is sort of doing like the overseeing and is like kind of translating these PRs into or translating these PRDs into like specs and to-dos. That's who I want like thinking about stuff. If I let Sonnet, who is supposed to only be implementing, if I let him think, he's just going to confuse himself. So, yeah, so the
Stupid question, how do I switch model in Claude?
in Claude code, it would be Claude, you go /model.
Oh, okay.
I would, as much as you can, I would probably, or like, yeah, I use Opus, whenever I can, like, I try to burn all my Opus credits, basically. That's kind of why, I'm quite interested in Quen, the terminal one, as well as Kimi, in that we have open source models that are at least as competent as Sonnet at this point. And I can say that fairly confidently. And as such, like, even with my I have the $100 max plan, so I only have the 5x limit. I still burn through Opus like almost instantly.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah,
you fire up a lot.
Well, and like,
Go ahead.
well, yeah, and like obviously that's going to happen because we're doing like 8 tool calls per thing, right? Which is kind of why I want to keep an eye on metrics like this, so I can go like, okay, this is exactly who got called because it's currently set to Sonnet. And this is the exact tool calls that they made. So I'm looking forward to using this a good bit more. I'm actually, what I might do, or what I have half a plan of, is to take this analytics and have Claude like make a sub agent that all it does is watch the analytics and like try to figure out if all of these guys are on track or not, basically.
So is there a way in Claude to add a model that's not an Anthropics model? Could you add?
I think technically technically there is a simpler way to do it. I have seen a couple of things like a Claude code router on GitHub. Mm-hmm. I think you can do it just by changing, I don't know if it's like setting the Anthropic base URL exactly, but I think there's a fairly simple process to like swap it over. However, with Claude code specifically, I wouldn't necessarily recommend doing that. Probably or primarily because the Claude code team has built Claude code with the idea in mind that Claude will be using it. So the ways that these tool calls are formatted, the way that like context gets managed, the way subagents get deployed, et cetera, it's all built around Claude. So if you stick a different model in there, you might start having a bad time. There's some debate about this, in that I showed earlier AMP, and you'll notice with AMP that even in its settings, there is no model. I cannot pick the model. I originally didn't like that, but I'm starting to come around on it because with how sophisticated the like agents are getting, like they have like 30 different tools, and they like these context windows are like highly complex and constantly changing, and like they have these different sort of ways that they process information. I think there's certainly a case to be made that says if you are making a code generation agent, if you want to change models, you need to make a different agent. Like you need to have a different kind of chassis to put that model into that's built for that model. Because if I put Gemini into Claude Code, it's not going to be able to call any tools. And which is why I'm excited for open source being kind of competitive now, because now the Quen team just forked Gemini CLI and it's way behind what Claude Code is, but now all of open source can have a model that is just as good as the Anthropic team, and we can start like building the kind of coding agent that we want, and B, start like doing like model merging and LoRa's and fine tuning on the kind of code we want it to be able to interface with. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing some more of that. Real quick, I do want to cover a couple things that we might not know. Are we familiar with the IDE command in Claude Code?
I am not.
Okay, so IDE is, you can manage your IDE integration. So if you want Claude kind of working on the over on the side, which is a workflow. I'm very like agent centric on my workflow, but I know several people who are like, they'll give something kind of simple to one Claude and like let him do that, and then they'll go back in their IDE and start coding. If you want to do that, you can run the /IDE command in Claude Code, and then that will give you this little thing up here. That can go there. That will give you this, which is a Claude code that is inside my IDE that can also see all of my like LSPs, and it's like right there next to my IDE, and I can just be like, hey, refactor my Cypress, and then I can go over and do work on some other thing while he does that, and I'll go blah, 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 blah. But the so there is that way to interface with Claude Code, and there is also an application that you can install to your GitHub repo on GitHub, which, let me see if I can find it and where it's at. There's IDE, and is there like a GitHub? Yeah, install GitHub app is the other thing that you can do, which will install that Claude code to your GitHub account, and you can just @Claude and like ask it to do stuff from your like your PR or whatever that you're getting comments from. Yeah, let me think if there's any. Let's see. We did Kiro.
The /IDE. So the way I've launched Claude is I just open it up in a terminal in VS Code.
Mm-hmm.
It's connected somehow into the IDE automatically, I guess, by default, is it?
If you type /IDE, it'll try to install an extension into VS Code for you.
And then what more does it do when it does that, do you know?
Do you mean like what is the benefit of installing that extension to your VS Code?
Yeah.
It can, while you're working in VS Code, it can see like your LSP and your VS Code extensions and like your error messages or whatever that are popping up in your IDE, like your IntelliSense and stuff. It can see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it gets it tighter. Okay. Mm-hmm. I wasn't sure if I was already there. And then you were doing this GitHub actions. How does that work? What does that do?
Let's see if I have. Let me see if I have it installed onto. Let's go to CC demos. We got a pull request, and then let's see. I don't know if I have it. Claude. Will that work? Not sure. Let me double check and see where I have. Oh, if I just go here, install GitHub app, use current repository. Okay, so I'm going to install that real quick. We're going to configure it so that it can see this. We're going to do CC demos. I'm going to save that. And then let's refresh here. And then you can also use Claude. Let's see if we have like a. Actually, Docs page might be the best place to start. So we have. You can at Claude in a PR or an issue. So let's see if I can have him just do like a quick extra analysis here. Claude, can you give this one a review? I don't know if it'll work because I just configured. So we'll see. Okay. It might. But yeah, I have, so like, it seems to be the case that what kind of the Anthropic team is going for is to basically, like, anytime I would, like, ping someone in Slack or whatever, I can just ping Claude instead. And I can also, we didn't really go over it, but I have an exercise in the repo, and I mentioned it a little bit, where you can like, let's grab Cursor, I think, real quick. Is this, that does not have the right, I don't want that one, I want this one, I'm gonna close that. If we cursor there, we have a Unix pipeline. Okay. What's the human README? Let's see. grep oxed Unix tools. So he can use those tools. You can also use him as a Unix tool. So you can pipe him in and out of like a cat. I could like cat Claude MD pipe Claude quote like hey, like review this Claude MD and update it based on this other file here, and then I could get that output like straight in my terminal basically. Let's see. So yeah, we have the action.
Is there, when you do that, is there something that says Claude don't go into the interactive mode? Do it.
Oh yeah,
do this as a pipe.
Yeah, you can just use Claude that way. I can just go like Claude. Hey, can you review 07 in this repo and leave a claude.md for the next agent.
So just the presence of kind of that command line argument means don't go into interactive mode. Oh no, wait, you entered interactive mode.
So yeah, so it does go straight into. It does go to interactive. I think there's a way to have it not do that. Let's get rid of that. Let me see if I can actually try it. Let's do cat claude.md. Claude, tell me about our review this for quality, and I think that'll put him into interactive. I want to like do like a third thing here and see if that. I'm not like a Unix god or anything, so I don't really know what else you would do here. And then can I do like let's see. I don't know. Let's see if that works. Yeah, so we catted that straight in, and then yeah, as you can see. You just give him you can cat something in and give him a directive, or you can tell him to edit something and pipe his output out to it. I think it will pull you into interactive mode. I don't know. I don't use this super often. Definitely something I kind of want to like go into the docs a little bit more about. Let's see if Claude finished up on that PR that we called him in on. Let's see. Yeah, I guess we're heading over to, or like getting reasonably towards time.
Yeah, we are a little bit over. We need to probably wrap up.
Yeah, is there any like questions, comments, concerns, thoughts that anybody wasn't able to go over thus far? I know it's kind of a whirlwind tour, but
yeah, I was going to say, Warren, you are so far ahead of me. It's hard to keep up.
You know, if the reason it's a whirlwind tour is because it is a whirlwind. There isn't a place that is not a whirlwind there. So you know, it's
it's really changing the whole paradigm. It's a lot of fun, but it's crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot to experiment with. They have that. They had that article come out recently that was like, oh, actually AI is slowing people down, and I'm like, yes, of course. Like, the first 2 weeks of using Vim, you're way slower, but that's the point.
Right.
Like, you got to learn how to wrangle the thing, and nobody knows how these things are supposed to work. Essentially,
I don't know if you've found this. It seems like you do a little bit more hands-off. You write a spec and review PRs.
Yeah.
I guess I've been trying to use it a little bit more with an existing code base and adding features to that. So I'm still kind of a little bit code aware. I still, I'm watching what it's generating. But I do find that there's certain workflows that it's just amazing at, that I can give not a nice formal product spec like you're talking about, but I wanted this new feature, and I just ask it, and 3 minutes later, it's up and it's running. But then there's other things that I fall into, and I've tried to use some of the tricks you mentioned last week about like resetting context and stuff like that, but it gets into a hole, and it's just it struggles to fix certain problems. So it's like sometimes it speeds me up by a factor of 10, and sometimes it slows me down by a factor of 2.
I was listening to a podcast with the guy who works on Claude Code at Anthropic, and he mentioned that contrary to kind of one's normal instinct, with these guys, it can often be more productive to try to get them to one-shot it, essentially. The idea being like, fully clear the context window, make sure they have all the Claude MDs like tactically set up to where they need to be, and then just like let it rip, because you might notice that if it starts doing something wrong and then you interrupt it, it'll start interrupting itself because it thinks that that's how the conversation is supposed to go. It thinks that those tokens are supposed to be in that window. So generally speaking, very, very rarely will I have Claude try to fix something. I will almost always just have him like take it from the top and do it over again.
So roll back to the request and start from there.
There's another or like a helpful little trick for context management is if you double tap escape, you can clear the last turn from Claude Code. So if he started going off the rails and you caught it, then you can just double tap escape and have him try it from the top again.
What do you do if you follow that workflow? What do you do for the source code? Do you just throw it out and check out again and start from that point?
Let's see. So what that will do is if he's already written to a file, it won't change the file. But what it will do is his context window will, like the last turn of him like doing the tool use, blah blah blah. It'll clear that out, so you can have him read that file back in again if it's a good looking file. Or what you could do is like, if he created like kind of a messed up file, you can double tap escape, then you can go fix the file, then you can tell them, hey, read that file back in, and then like make sure it matches up to this kind of like test suite or spec or whatever. So
you're not rolling all the way back to like the original source, but you're kind of undoing his messed up changes.
Yeah, well,
and
yes.
And then starting him over again and asking him to review and move forward type of thing.
Yes, among, or like, essentially what I'm attempting to do there to Claude is context engineering, essentially. So like, I might tactically remove like 2 or 3 messages from his window, fix a file, tell him to read it back in, and then let him rip from there. Or I might, like, if we're kind of too far gone, I might just clear out his whole window entirely, and then like, double check my Claude MDs and my test suite and my instructions and stuff like that, and see if he can one-shot it. Generally speaking, it's or just on a general note, I think they are at the moment a lot better at greenfielding than they are working with existing code bases. However,
okay, I was going to ask that. Yeah.
Yeah. However, there are definitely ways to mitigate that, and generally speaking, the kind of thing or the kind of approach, and I guess I should show this to people too, because they might. What's a good example repo for? Let me think of. Oh yeah. We can do use Super Claude framework. Okay. So like, this is the like advanced config thing that that I installed that has all that extra like weird stuff in it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I've only been playing with it for a couple of days, so it might be like more trouble than it's worth. But one of the things that you can do used to be more manual, but you can just change this URL to DeepWiki, and then you will get a wiki of that whole code base. And you can have, so this is by the Cognition team, Devin. You can turn on deep research through the code base if you want. And like a thing that I want to dial in and try doing more often is if I am onboarded to that code base already, then, and I can verify that the DeepWiki looks fairly correct. What I want to do, I don't think you can programmatically hit these, but what I kind of want to do is, the other thing that I should show is like yet another external tool, is repo prompt. This is like a context building sort of utility. Let me see if I can like pull that, and then I can be like, oh, I want to talk with this and this and this. Can we do like a code map real quick? And then it completes include map. Okay, and then that will include like a map. Basically, if this code base has been built for humans to be able to make sense of it, then I need to go edit the code base so that it also makes sense to agents. So I'm going to be like dropping Claude MDs all over the place and like probably like configuring some number of agents to be like mapping the code base and making sure everybody's on track. There is a utility that I used to like a lot called AutoPR that would create like a readme.md in like every directory of the project, and then it would create like a master readme that sort of took all of the per directory readmes into context and then generated a living kind of readme on top of that. But basically, like, if the code base is not mapped and the rules aren't and the constraints aren't established, if you just kind of like let them loose in there, they're just going to mess everything up. So you have to kind of, if what you want is to sick them onto a code base that already exists, then there's some housekeeping you're going to want to do to set them up for success, basically.
That makes sense. Hey, Warren, how about this? Yeah, so we're getting, it's quarter after. There's a couple notes.
Yeah.
Do you want to address those and then we will wrap up?
Yep, sounds like when. Let's see. Comment on how to use LLM as mentor, not as crutch. Thanks. I mean, personally, I wouldn't necessarily say that I don't use it as a crutch. Like I am sort of intentionally handicapping myself because I don't necessarily want to be good at manually doing software development by myself where I type it out one word at a time. That's not the skill I'm trying to learn. The skill that I am trying to learn is how to most effectively wield code generation agents such that the code base that I want that works both for me and for the rest of the team is something that I know how to get out of an agent, essentially. In terms of mentorship, just on a general thing, my number one go-to thing that I really like is use stuff like DeepWiki, where you have them like map things out and explain things for you, and let's see, use deep research. The general approach that I take is I will run deep research on Gemini, I will run it on Claude, I will run it on O3 Pro if I have access, or just O3 if I have, and then like any other kind of like notable deep research utility that I have access to, and then I will take all of those and I will throw that into manus.im, and I will just tell Manus, hey, make me an interactive course on this topic. And what's nice about it is, let's see, I don't want to, can I not do the phone number thing? Okay. The nice thing about Manus is it's fairly autonomous and it can do a half decent job on stuff. Let me see if I like have it logged in somewhere. But yeah,
to your first point on that, Warren, though, it seems like asking it to be a mentor means have it make me a better programmer. And what I'm hearing in your response is, I don't want to learn to be a better programmer. I want to learn to use these tools better.
Essentially, yeah. Or like, I think learning how to do programming well is like a secondary skill that I would like to pick up along the way and kind of like hope that I do. But I think in terms of the skill that I'm like actually maining at the moment is like I want to be able to like I don't necessarily need to know exactly how to write the code base by myself, but I do want to know how to like get the code base to show up in front of me when I ask for it effectively.
Yeah. Let's see. Jay had a question.
Yeah, we have
code bases.
How large code bases you've tried it on, however you measure large. Generally speaking, like I said, greenfielding is way better than it is. Let me see if I have github.com/ghuntley. I'm a big fan of Jeff's work, if you can't tell. So this this repo is it wrote its own programming language, and it is all Claude. It's only Claude. It's like 10 instances of Claude that are all like looping back on each other, and it works. Like it compiles. It's not pretty. It is filled with a bunch of like weird random stuff, but it can write a brand new programming language and then start programming in it. However, I wouldn't say that you could take something like an existing programming language, like COBOL or something, and then just get agents to start working in there, kind of like of their own accord. Like the reason they can do this is because it was all them, and the kind of loop that Jeff has is like a very structured one. So I would, generally speaking, I would say that like I haven't ran into a code base that is like too big necessarily. The issue isn't necessarily the size of the code base; it's the structure. Like if it's set up to where like it's just like all the files have like super weird variable names and there's no and like there's giant fat files that have that like scope into like 4 different things or whatever. Like you kind of need to set your code base up so that agents can work in it essentially.
Okay, we got one more from RJ, and then it's 20 after, so
we'll call it there.
Just finish that one, and we.
Reviewing the code that's generated become more verbose. How to constrain the agent to limit the change. I do often get a lot of incoming code that is quite verbose, but generally speaking, Sorcery I find is quite good at catching when somebody's being too wordy. So I might like. If something like if I'm just looking at it, like, okay, 812 seems fine, we have 2 commits, we changed like 12 files, this looks good. But if I see like 60,000 over here, then I'm gonna like at Sorcery, at Claude, at everybody, and be like, hey, I suspect this is unnecessarily verbose, can you critique it for verbosity, and then suggest changes. Would be how a better programmer is one who can use the coding tools better. I think programming and wielding code generation agents are 2 separate but complementary skill sets. I think you can be a great programmer and you can be terrible at wielding code generation agents, and there will either way still be something for you to do, or you can be really, really good at wielding coding agents and like not very good at actually programming, and there will definitely be things for you to do. Is basically how I look at it.
All right, I'm going to stop the recording for people who want to stick around, and we can talk about what we want to do next week. But Warren, thanks a lot for going through this.